In part 2 of this story, as Emily faced the relentless storm of the courtroom, each cross-examination was a piercing reminder of her trauma, leaving her on the brink of breaking. Yet, amidst the chaos, her friends rallied with a series of powerful community events, offering a fragile beacon of hope. The trial reached a fever pitch with shocking revelations about Mr. Uche's dark past, igniting a surge of anger and determination in Emily. Through the emotional turbulence, she discovered a newfound strength and solidarity that illuminated her path forward. The verdict brought justice, but the true victory lay in the profound transformation of Emily's pain into a catalyst for change. As the investigation into Mr. Uche's actions unfolded, Emily's life began to pivot on a precarious edge. The media frenzy eventually faded, but the emotional scars remained vivid. Each day felt like a tightrope walk between fear and resilience. Her parents, though supportive, were often engulfed in their own whirlwind of stress, making Emily's struggle feel like a solitary endeavor. In the midst of this turbulence, Emily found an unexpected glimmer of hope. Dr. Adodo, with her steady guidance, encouraged Emily to revisit her passions. The once beloved hobbies of painting and playing the guitar became her lifeline. Each brushstroke on the canvas or strum of the strings was a small act of reclaiming her sense of self, the rebellion against the shadows of her past. The pivotal moment came when Emily joined a support group for survivors. Walking into the room for the first meeting felt like stepping into an unknown realm. Her heart pounded with apprehension, and every footstep echoed her fears. The room was filled with young faces, each bearing their own stories of pain and survival. The air was thick with shared anguish, yet it crackled with an undercurrent of solidarity. Listening to others, Emily was struck by the raw honesty and the fragmented stories pieced together with threads of courage. Here, among these survivors, she began to see her own pain reflected in others' eyes, and for the first time, she didn't feel like an isolated figure. The group's collective strength became a beacon, guiding her through the darkened corridors of her recovery. Yet, the journey was far from smooth. Emily grappled with moments of deep despair and doubts about her own progress. The therapy sessions and group meetings were fraught with emotional turbulence, pushing her to confront difficult truths. But with each step, she was learning that healing was not a straight path, it was a labyrinth of ups and downs, and it was okay to navigate it one cautious step at a time. The growing hope became a flicker in her heart, gradually illuminating her path forward. As the case against Mr. Uche unfolded, Lagos seemed to fracture into factions. The community's response was a tempest of conflicting emotions. On one side, a chorus of voices rose in Emily's defense, rallying with placards and petitions, their compassion evident in their support. Local activists and neighbors organized benefit events and awareness campaigns, standing firmly beside Emily and her family. This outpouring of solidarity offered Emily a fragile shield against the storm of skepticism and denial. Yet, the other side of the coin was starkly different. Whispers of doubt and accusations began to circulate, questioning Emily's credibility and the timing of her revelations. The very people who had once welcomed Mr. Uche with open arms now seemed intent on defending him, their dismissal of Emily's pain palpable. Some labeled her a troublemaker, their harsh judgments adding a layer of anguish to her already battered spirit. Emily and her family were caught in the crossfire, navigating a web of contradictory sentiments while striving to focus on their pursuit of justice. Every day, Emily confronted the sting of betrayal and the sharp edge of public scrutiny. The strain was etched in her weary eyes and her parents' anxious expressions. Yet, amidst the turbulence, the unwavering support from those who truly believed in her became a lifeline. This genuine encouragement became the anchor in their stormy seas, providing the strength to press on despite the chaotic din of dissent. Emily's invitation to speak at the community event felt like a surreal convergence of dread and resolve. The stage loomed before her, a platform that symbolized both her vulnerability and her strength. The venue, a large hall filled with curious faces, buzzed with anticipation. As she took her place behind the microphone, the weight of countless unspoken fears bore down upon her. The first few moments were a churning storm of nerves, her voice wavering as she began. But with each word she spoke, a wave of solidarity seemed to flow back from the audience. The collective breath of the crowd hung heavy with empathy, their attentiveness underscoring the gravity of Emily's words. Her narrative, raw and unvarnished, painted a vivid picture of her struggle, a mosaic of pain, resilience, and hope. Emily's tale was interwoven with moments of profound silence and emotional crescendos. The audience's reactions were visceral, tears glistening in eyes, hands clutching in unspoken support. The courage to share her story sparked an electric response, igniting conversations that rippled through the community. Her bravery not only brought awareness to the plight of survivors but also stirred others to confront their own experiences and seek help. As Emily concluded, the applause that followed was not merely a sound, it was an acknowledgement of her journey and a communal vow to foster change. The event created a powerful ripple effect, weaving a tapestry of understanding and advocacy that stretched beyond the evening, touching lives and transforming the community's approach to supporting survivors. As the courtroom doors creaked open, a chilling silence fell over the spectators. The legal battle was about to commence, and Emily's family, along with their dedicated legal team, steeled themselves for the gauntlet ahead. The gravity of reliving her trauma in a public forum was a crushing weight on Emily's shoulders. Each pre-trial meeting with Dr. Adodo felt like preparing for a storm, her therapist's comforting words and strategies a fragile shield against the looming tempest of the courtroom. The legal process unfurled like a complex labyrinth, each turn fraught with new challenges. Emily's family worked tirelessly to present their case with clarity and conviction, their resolve hardened by the stakes at hand. Every procedural delay, every objection from Mr. Uche's defense team felt like a personal affront, adding to the mounting pressure on Emily. Witness testimonies and forensic evidence wove a narrative that exposed the raw, painful truth. The courtroom transformed into a battleground where Emily's courage clashed against the cold machinery of justice. In the midst of the proceedings, Emily's anxiety was palpable, her heart racing with each cross-examination. Her parents, though steadfast in their support, bore their own burdens of stress and worry. The trial was not just a legal contest, it was a harrowing emotional ordeal that tested their endurance and resolve, each day unfolding with the relentless pursuit of accountability and closure. The trial reached a fever pitch when startling revelations emerged from the shadows of Mr. Uche's past. Documents and testimonies unearthed a disturbing pattern of similar accusations against him, a trail of victims that spanned years and cities. The courtroom buzzed with a mix of disbelief and outrage as this new evidence painted a darker portrait of Mr. Uche's history. For Emily and her family, the discovery was both a blow and a beacon. The shock of learning that Mr. Uche's predatory behavior was not isolated fueled a searing anger and a renewed determination. Each revelation was a dagger to the heart, yet it also reinforced their resolve to see justice served not just for Emily but for all those who had suffered in silence. The legal team scrambled to incorporate this new layer of complexity into their strategy, each twist in the case adding a new dimension of urgency and emotional intensity. Emily grappled with a whirlwind of feelings, rage at the betrayal of trust, a fear of the unknown outcomes, and a fierce drive to ensure that Mr. Uche faced the full extent of the law. Her resolve hardened as she faced the escalating stakes of the trial, her bravery shining through the murky depths of uncertainty. The courtroom became a gauntlet of fear and anguish for Emily. Each session felt like an unrelenting storm battering her fragile resolve. As she faced the harsh glare of the courtroom, her heart pounded with every cross-examination, each question a jagged shard of her painful past. The walls seemed to close in, and every word spoken was a reminder of the trauma she was forced to relive. Emily's nightmares began to intertwine with her waking hours, the echo of her fears reverberating through every testimony and legal debate. She found herself clutching the edge of her seat, eyes fixed on the floor, as the weight of her memories became almost too much to bear. The courtroom was no longer just a place of legal proceedings but a battlefield where her deepest fears were laid bare. Dr. Adodo was a constant presence, her calming voice a lifeline in the storm. The psychologist's soothing reassurances and techniques for managing anxiety were essential, but even they seemed strained against the backdrop of Emily's unrelenting dread. Every session with Dr. Adodo became a delicate dance of pushing forward while retreating into a cocoon of safety, a delicate balance between facing her fears and preserving her sanity. Yet, amid the turmoil, Emily's determination burned bright. She clung to the hope that her brave stand would lead to justice, not only for herself but for others who might still be silent. Each step forward was a small victory against her consuming anxiety. The unwavering support of her family, whose faces were etched with worry but steadfast in their belief, became her beacon. Their encouragement was a lifeline, their love a fortress against the storm of her fears. In the midst of Emily's turbulent journey through the trial and her healing process, her friends emerged as pillars of strength and solidarity. Their presence was a bright counterpoint to the shadows that had engulfed her life. They rallied around her with unwavering support, their compassion a balm for her wounded spirit. One of Emily's closest friends, Zara, became a relentless advocate for her. Zara's eyes, usually full of mischief, were now still with determination as she spearheaded a series of awareness events. Each event was meticulously planned, a vigil with flickering candles in the park, a community forum with speakers sharing their experiences, and a fundraiser featuring local artists. The events were not only platforms for raising awareness but also a tangible testament to the community's resolve to support survivors of abuse. The personal stories shared during these gatherings were powerful, resonating deeply within Emily. She saw others confronting their own demons, and their bravery was both inspiring and unsettling. The communal empathy and collective anger against injustice fueled a sense of purpose and camaraderie. Yet, each event also unearthed Emily's fears of judgment, of reliving her pain publicly, of being misunderstood. These fears loomed large, but they were countered by the love and encouragement of her friends, who never faltered in their support. Emily's gratitude for her friends was profound, though she sometimes struggled with the vulnerability that came with their support. Their acts of solidarity were not just gestures, they were lifelines, anchoring her in a sea of emotional turmoil. As the events unfolded, Emily began to see a glimmer of hope through the haze of her suffering, realizing that her friends' efforts were sowing seeds of change and building a stronger, more compassionate community. As the gavel struck and the verdict was read, a wave of mixed emotions surged through Emily and her family. Mr. Uche's conviction for his crimes was a significant legal victory, but it was accompanied by a profound, lingering ache. The courtroom, once a battleground, had delivered its verdict, but the scars of the past were not easily erased. Emily's family, though elated by the outcome, found themselves grappling with a complex blend of relief and sorrow. The courtroom cheers and the subdued applause from supporters felt hollow in the face of the internal struggle that continued. Emily's father, who had tried to remain stoic throughout the trial, now grappled with his own guilt and anger. He spent restless nights replaying moments of helplessness, haunted by the feeling that he could have protected his daughter better. Emily, amidst the backdrop of victory celebrations, felt as if she was caught in a storm of conflicting emotions. The sense of justice served was overshadowed by the weight of her trauma. Each day felt like a balancing act, finding moments of joy while coping with the relentless echoes of her past. The celebration, with its well-meaning cheers and congratulatory messages, sometimes felt like a stark contrast to her internal chaos. Dr. Adodo, a steady beacon through it all, reminded Emily and her family that healing was an ongoing journey. Their sessions grew more introspective, exploring the depths of Emily's pain and working to integrate the past with a hopeful future. As Emily began to piece together a new sense of self, the path ahead was illuminated by small, significant steps, each one a testament to her courage and resilience. The victory in court was a chapter closed, but the journey of healing was far from over. Emily and her family faced the future with a fragile yet resolute hope, understanding that true recovery would come not just from the courtroom's judgment but from the continued support and love that surrounded them. Emily's healing journey, while marked by gradual progress, was anything but straightforward. Therapy sessions with Dr. Adodo were a crucible of intense introspection. Each meeting felt like peeling back layers of a deep, painful wound, revealing both scars and the resilience beneath. As Emily navigated this complex emotional landscape, she faced moments of profound clarity and deep-seated fear, each session a mix of revelations and setbacks. One evening, as a storm raged outside, Emily sat alone in her room, a canvas and paintbrush in front of her. The howling wind seemed to echo the turmoil within her. She dipped her brush into vibrant colors, her strokes fierce and erratic. The abstract chaos on the canvas mirrored her inner turmoil. Yet, as she lost herself in the rhythm of painting, the storm outside began to quieten. Her emotions flowed onto the canvas in a therapeutic dance, a symbol of her struggle to find tranquility amidst the chaos. Playing the guitar provided another avenue of expression. Each chord she strummed resonated with fragments of her past, infusing them into melodies that spoke of pain and hope. Music became a refuge where Emily could transform her anguish into something beautiful, a stark contrast to the darkness she had endured. Despite these outlets offering solace, the journey was fraught with challenges. Emily would sometimes find herself gripped by sudden waves of anxiety or despair, her progress momentarily eclipsed by the weight of her past. Yet, with each setback, she found strength in her creative expressions and the unwavering support of Dr. Adodo and her family. Her healing was not linear, it was a tumultuous process of discovering and rediscovering her passions, each step forward marked by small victories and the relentless pursuit of inner peace. As Emily embraced painting and music, she began to weave a tapestry of hope and resilience, each thread representing a step toward reclaiming her life from the shadows of her trauma. As Emily transitioned into her teenage years, the shadows of her past seemed to stretch longer, casting a dim light on her evolving life. The calm that had once enveloped her now seemed more fragile, as though it could be shattered by the smallest of tremors. Old memories would surface unpredictably, triggered by seemingly innocuous events, a familiar scent, a certain phrase, or even a passing glimpse of someone who resembled Mr. Uche. Each instance felt like a fresh wound reopening, raw and unrelenting. One particularly stormy night, Emily found herself overwhelmed by an intense surge of anxiety. The thunder outside was a deafening metaphor for the chaos within. In the stillness of her room, with her heart pounding and breath shallow, she reached out to Dr. Adodo. Their sessions had become a lifeline, but tonight the emotions felt more visceral, almost as if she was drowning in a sea of her own fears. Dr. Adodo guided Emily through breathing exercises and mindfulness techniques, helping her to ground herself amidst the turmoil. Emily also faced new conflicts with friends and peers who couldn't always understand her sudden mood swings or retreat from social situations. She grappled with the frustration of feeling different and the loneliness of not fully belonging. Her friends were supportive, but their lack of comprehension sometimes added to her sense of isolation. Determined to maintain control, Emily embraced coping strategies she had developed, journaling her thoughts, engaging in physical activities to manage stress, and practicing self-compassion. Each day was a battle, but Emily found strength in her rituals of self-care and the support network that remained steadfastly by her side. Though the journey was fraught with emotional landmines, Emily's resilience was unwavering. She understood that healing was a lifelong endeavor, an evolving dance with her past and present. Each step forward, no matter how small, was a testament to her strength and an affirmation of her enduring courage. Emily's journey from victim to advocate was fraught with both triumph and turmoil. Determined to transform her pain into purpose, she channeled her experiences into a powerful force for change. The transition was not seamless, it demanded confronting her fears and relieving her trauma, but each step forward was a beacon of hope for others in the shadows. Her first public speech at a local school was a nerve-wracking endeavor. The stage lights felt like a spotlight on her vulnerability, casting harsh beams on her scars. As she spoke, her voice wavered, but the gravity of her message shone through. She shared her story with raw honesty, her words a blend of courage and anguish. The room was thick with tension, the audience hanging on every word, absorbing the reality of her experience.